Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK 2020 Spring. I'm Atlas, joined by LS, and it is time for SANDBOX versus Griffin. What an incredible matchup. To my left, a long way away, is LS. LS, are you looking forward to this hype match?
I am very much looking forward to this absolutely hype match. Darth Atlas, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I just wanted to play with my my new mixer thingy. It's very exciting.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
That you seemingly wanted to do that.
Thanks for bearing with me, guys. We're going to go through some points of the match, though, here for a SANDBOX Gaming that was able to grab a 2-0 over a Freak of Freaks recently. Griffin fell to Gen G, but that's to be expected against the best team in the LCK at the moment. But their lineup change is crazy. What do you think of Lonely up there towards the top side?
So the whole thing with Lonely, which is so surprising, is the fact that he's playing over Summit, who many pros considered to be the best top laner in the LCK. And so it really raises a lot of eyebrows as to what is causing that, what's going on. Now, SANDBOX did manage to look clean at some points.
Yeah.
You know, playing with this new roster that they are utilizing here in the LCK. And I don't really have anything bad to say, Atlas. Okay?
Now, speaking, this might draw out some of the bad to say, but what's your opinion on Hoya versus Sword as far as the Griffin lineup is concerned?
So, I do believe that Hoya is better than Sword, but I don't know really to what extent or by how much. I know that Hoya is very high on the ladder, but he spends a lot of his time duoing with the substitute jungler on Griffin. So I'm curious to see what's going to end up happening there today. Also, he does seem to have an affinity for more control-y kind of top laners. So, still sort of in the same boat as Sword, at least in that regard. Not like hyper carry tops or anything with insane mechanical finesse. But taking a look at the team stats here,
not really standing out as far as this. What is that? First death with win rate? What does that mean? FB with win.
Win rate with first dragon.
First dragon. Yeah, that's another word that starts with D. All right. And it looks pretty good for SANDBOX.
Well, Punch, Lonely, Dove, Root, and Gorilla.
Root
gonna be the lineup here
for Leo is cool. Good to see him back after really being the priority in round 2. Was Leo more often than not. So we'll see whether the former Jin Air carry is able to put on the carry pants once again here today.
And we'll see what the lineup is going to be on the flip side, as Griffin, they are still struggling to find their groove. They look very lost, and it doesn't seem like there's any sort of a comfort change with this new online format coming out here today.
And it might be a move back to Sword, who knows? But it is going to be Hoya, as you can see on your screen right here. Tarzan will be in the jungle, Yukal back in the mid lane, of course, and then Viper and Irove. So no changes other than Hoya being moved in over Sword. So let's see whether he's going to be able to find some footing. So far, he's played Sylas and Lucian up towards the top side. Maybe some more standard picks need to be seen to really judge this guy up against our other top laners, you know? Got to see some of that Aatrox to really get those judgments out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so let's take a look at what they're going to end up drafting here today and what kind of synergy they're going to manage to have. Because again, lots of eyes on Hoya coming into today's match. In fact, it's even the key player matchup.
I think this is really cool, actually, because Lonely is stepping into some very big shoes. Hoya, a different story. He's stepping in to try and save a struggling Griffin. And as far as the stats are concerned, often when you've got a smaller sample size and you've been winning games, of course, you're going to have a better scoreline, but a 6.7 KDA ain't bad. And is currently second as far as the overall LCK is concerned, so not bad for Lonely. As Hoya on the other side, not boasting exactly the stats that we'd prefer, but his CS is certainly good.
Yeah, absolutely. As we'll see what kind of champions they're going to end up picking there today, as obviously Hoya, he played the Sylas and the Lucian. Now remember, Griffin's last loss was against Genji.
Yeah.
So it is a bit acceptable, all things considered. We'll see how they fare here. Okay, fast pick ban is going on right now.
They almost banned at the same time, which is interesting. As the Ornn, of course, going to be that first ban. SANDBOX actually prioritizing the Varus, which is interesting, respecting that flex pick. See whether Kalista gets the same treatment as Griffin. Thinking about their second ban, Senna to be taken off the board. We're looking at the bottom side a lot right here, as you can see. LeBlanc being the first, or I guess first and a half mid lane ban to come in here for SANDBOX. It's now Griffin wondering what the next priority is going to be. I'm expecting something aimed towards On Fleek to come out here, but we'll see where Griffin's mind is at.
And Griffin is going to ban away the Sejuani. That means that Kalista is available and immediately locked in.
I love it. I actually think Kalista
for
is...
SANDBOX.
Kalista is great for SANDBOX for multiple reasons, right? It can flex between AD carry and top lane, which is great. But also, if it's played bottom lane, Gorilla utilizes the Kalista so well. Prey was always fantastic at Kalista, so when they were together, and they were for so many years, it was Gorilla that was able to really dictate team fights with an extra button that he was able to press via his AD carry. So very fast is this draft so far, as Set and Jarvan were very much the priorities for Griffin. And then the Pigeon Man and the fabulous gentleman on the bottom lane are going to be picked up. So we've got mid lane and bot lane for SANDBOX already locked away. And with the Kai'Sa being picked up, we've got a solo laner or support in the set. And we've got jungle and AD carry.
Well, if there was a deep mine meter in this game, it would be off the charts for SANDBOX, I think, this B1 through B3, compared to Griffin's R1, R3. And it's just because the Azir, the Kalista, the Taric, they are directly answering every single gear or mode that Set, Jarvan, and Kai'Sa would ideally look for. And then, even in isolation, they're just such strong champions. The Kalista has the pivot up to top lane. If she goes up against the Set, we saw that while Set in a Jarvan duo against Nuguri's Kalista yesterday was able to put Kalista really far behind, Nuguri still won by 50 CS despite all the early game problems, and that's the dynamic of that matchup. So Griffin now banning away Rek'Sai and banning away Lee Sin, so physical damage junglers are being taken off of the table, perhaps wanting to try to just pinch that jungle pool. Obviously, Olaf is still on the menu. He's not super good against the champions that Griffin has right now. You're still looking for more mid-rangey kind of champions. Griffin, though, they have to select something blind here.
I think Rumble would
might
make
just
a lot
be the
of sense
support
here
to get the bot lane out of the way.
Yeah, but Rumble can be flexed multiple ways and makes a lot of sense to be picked up in that position. So Viper going to take that one away. Is now Root and Gorilla thinking about jungler and solo laner here for SANDBOX. And Aatrox might be the option here. That would be putting the Kalista towards the bottom lane, which is what we're expecting, given Kalista Taric's power right now in the meta. 4 seconds to go, as Aatrox would be a very comfortable pick, and something that SANDBOX often does, but I find it to be a very strange one into the set that they often decide to go for. So they are going to lock it away, and now Punch thinking about the Elise for SANDBOX in the jungle.
And Aatrox is picked up.
And I was talking about On Fleek before, and it's actually Punch that's going to be playing, so I apologize to Punch there for making assumptions of the jungle role. If we remember back to when SANDBOX did their most amount of subs possible, that was when On Fleek was the only player not subbed. This time around, he is going to be taken out. Okay, that's a Lucian. Most likely going in Yukal's hands. Potentially. Or Hoya. This could be support Set, top lane Rumble. Sorry, support Set, top lane Lucian, mid lane Rumble. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, so the thing about this that is really a bit strange to me is they're currently positioning the Rumble up in top lane against the Aatrox, but that's not that bad of a matchup for the Aatrox. The Elise, relative to how everyone can itemize, I think she does have insane value here against Griffin's team composition. And past 2 items, they really just fall off of a cliff. Tarek's ultimate has such insane value in the later stages of the game. The Azir beats literally everyone on Griffin. The Kalista has a field day against everyone as well. So Griffin, they need to get ahead in the first 15 minutes. And if they don't, then everything basically ends up coming down to Kai'Sa.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. I mean, Viper has had a lot on his shoulders in the past, but this is certainly a mid-game composition with a Kai'Sa there to try and at least fake out that they can do something in the late game. It's a scary situation, whereas on SANDBOX's side, I completely agree with you. I feel like their lanes are very strong, and also they scale very well, and also they can set up for release quite nicely. This could be a very scary game for Griffin fans. So are we giving it to SANDBOX? Is that the call here today, LS?
What is your call, Alice?
I'm reckon it's all SANDBOX. Dove is actually a fantastic Azir player. Kalista is very strong in the meta right now. Every Jhin Air 80 carry has always been great at Kalista. That's just a thing. And so as we hop onto Summoner's Rift, my money is on SANDBOX for this game.
And I have to agree with you on that one, Atlas. So
maybe I've debated you, and I'm going to ruin everything.
Going to ruin my week 6 streak. I'm currently a 16 out of 16.
Ooh.
So it'd be a real tragedy if it ended here today.
Once again, we see the Omni Stone support set, which I'm very excited about. I do like the Omni Stone, just in general. And Dove going to go towards the Hail of Blades Azir. I love Azir because he can run so many keystones and no one can really be upset about it. And this is one of the more recent developments of what an Azir can do. So Dove going to have a lot of trading potential in this mid lane and can abuse the Rumble relatively effectively. Kalista Tarek pretty good, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, 10.5 patch is treating Kalista very favorably. I almost could not speak right there. Like that.
Yeah.
I think Lonely might just actually land a Q as Griffin. They're starting things off with an aggressive play.
Yep, as Hoya moves into the enemy jungle and will find Lonely. Lonely, not so lonely anymore. As we've got a blue side start for Punch.
Apparently ranked 10 right now on the Crane ladder. And there's all the Control-y champions that I was mentioning early on. Rumble, Set, and Ornn. Root and Gorilla actually going to concede the initial first wave. Tarzan doing red into bot lane pressure, but Irove probably not going to have one of those super wonky level 1 plays that he had in his last series against Gen G.
I actually really like that SANDBOX conceded the start of the wave because they knew that Tarzan was on the bottom side of the map starting in their jungle, so not wanting to give him any opening for a level 2 gank that Jarvan loves so much. I completely understand that piece of decision making. As Hoya, of course, is going to be pushing in this top lane, and Lonely's going to pick up as much of the CS afterwards as he can. As Viper and Irove get themselves to level 2, and will just continue being very frustrating. Dove utilizing his Hail of Blades to great efficiency, but Tarzan's going to help him shove out the lane for some reason. Please.
So they're going to shove out the lane, and now with that ginormous minion wave, you can see Punch is here. They are absolutely anticipating this. I'm curious if Punch is actually going to go into the brush. They're going to get the Bad News Bears in a second.
Oh, he's out of vision.
Man, this
really
is a
good
perfect
positioning.
counter gank.
Well, in comes Punch now. We'll see whether they can actually find any. The Facebreaker lands onto 2 as the flash out there from Root, but now trying to turn this one around. Irove has to run, but is going to survive. It's a 1-for-1 so far as Viper doesn't want to pick up turret aggro yet again. You can see Tarzan back in for another one, but the Cocoon point blank range as Root is going to get killed. The flash out and able to survive with the Triumph. The flash out there, but not able to get it done. And Viper makes his way into the brush. A successful dive in the end.
And it was really nice intention by SANDBOX down there in bot lane, but the execution by Griffin worked out so clean. Now, one of the things about this, though, is that Azir in mid lane didn't have to move. So Dove is well into level 4, and he got a lot of chip damage onto the turret, a lot of solo XP. But remember, one of the ways it's crashed in, you take a look at this. 좋습니다. We are breaking the fourth wall right now.
Oh,
the entire
God.
Cat's freaking out.
Please, welcome us back. Hello? Is anyone doing anything? Hello?
Saved.
Saved? Are we saved? Are we back?
They said saved.
Ah, hey guys. Welcome back. We didn't say anything important. Don't you worry. There's Punch is here towards the bottom side of the map.
We
He's
were
looking to
saved.
clear out this control ward. And he does so. And I'm glad you guys are here. I was getting so lonely. It's a great dodge.
Lonely, lonely, lonely.
From Dove? Yeah, it's hard saying lonely.
You ever heard
in
that
this game.
song?
What?
Okay, whatever.
Are you talking about the one from
Not a big deal.
never mind. Lonely's gonna get
Totally
cold. It feels bad.
Lonely does end up getting called. I mean, he's down 11 CS right now, but we'll see how much he gets from this wave underneath the turret, and then we'll know the real CS discrepancy as Dove.
Oh, he's in trouble, but that's a great Empress Divide. Oh, misses the cocoon. Punch. No, that would have been a kill there, but Irove is in position. SANDBOX don't push too far forward. And that's a gimme that they didn't get.
That is absolutely so sad for SANDBOX. Dove set that up so well, not even having to use any of his summoner spells. You can see Punch now coming over, Lonely here with him. Knock up onto Jarvan. He doesn't have flash, remember that.
Yep, World Ender is going to be in there, but it's a great equalizer from UCal. Already the Jarvan has fallen down, though, and they don't step on the red carpet. Lonely trying to get out of there. More damage from Hoya now as Dove has to flash, but Irove gets in position. He doesn't have the ultimate, but it doesn't matter as Lonely's taken down as well, and Punch is behind enemy lines trying to slink his way to safety, but I don't know whether it's going to happen. Tarzan is already back up again. And Hoya searching, but not exactly in the right position. So it will be Punch surviving. Very sneaky little spider indeed, but still great advantages for Griffin.
Tarzan doesn't even actually bother to look for the Elise. Viper initiating a lane swap right now. And again, their gold lead is still at about 1,500, which is a little bit surprising because that was a nice little victory for them right there. So I'm wondering where this is coming from. I guess there is a turret plate that was captured down in bot lane.
Yeah, a little bit of an
Azir
advantage
very
in the
close.
solo lanes for SANDBOX as well, as Dove has been laning well, as Lonely also has been doing some good things. But
Whoa!
he's now going to try and steal away a
What is
Rift
he- wait,
Herald,
what?
but instead going to get knocked up. Irove once again is here because this Kaiser is just on her own the entire time. Good healing coming through from Lonely, but it's not enough as 4 members turn up. And that is the second death for the top laner of SANDBOX.
Yeah, I have no idea what the follow-up commitment to that was. That was, you know what? He's lonely. That's all. He's just really sad. He wanted friends.
I mean, it's in his name. It makes sense.
It is.
Much like
Indeed,
Cloud
it is,
Templar and his obsession with Amumu back in the day.
Well, this does
We're
mean that a
lonely
lot of
sometimes.
turret plates are going down to bot lane. Remember, Callista is a monster for this team composition. So, Root and Gorilla doing a really good job down here in bot. They're even gonna actually get the ward right there. So 3 turret plates have gone their way, but now Hoya gonna start finally getting turret plates for himself up in top lane.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice combo.
Yeah, third Q there from Lonely, but he's just going to get culled for it. As Hoya a bit frustrated on the positioning there, given the fact that he had to run into the wall and it was avoided. But still, good news for Griffin. Not exactly the CS lead that you'd want as a Lucian top against the Aatrox at this stage of the game, but still not too bad for Griffin. And Blade of the Ruin King well and truly on its way here for Hoya as Tarzan turns up mid. They're looking for Dove once again, who doesn't have flash, remember, nor the heal. Because now he has to move out a little bit further than he'd otherwise like. But not going to take the bait is the Griffin jungler. And Punch now moving back towards his jungle. Has his Runic Echoes now completed, so a fair bit of damage available for the Elise. We'll see whether Griffin can continue with their foot on the pedal. One of these interesting compositions is when you're talking about like power spikes of when these compositions are going to come online, you'd expect Griffin to want to play around the mid game, but SANDBOX have a lot of mid game tools as well in their hands.
Yeah, and they absolutely do. So we'll have to see what ends up being the third dragon of the game, as well as what Lonely has DC'd. Elise has DC'd. Wait.
And we're not pausing?
Wait.
Hello? SANDBOX is DC'd? Oh, and if all of SANDBOX DCs, none of them can actually pause it. Oh dear. Okay. Well. Okay, SANDBOX's internet just died in their entire team house. So that's a thing.
So they would have to initiate a chrono break.
I believe so.
And, well, you know what? I mean, it's probably really difficult to get internet connection to a SANDBOX, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I think that's the issue right there. You know, when you've got a sandcastle that you're playing League of Legends out of, it's not really going to get wired very effectively.
I would like to take this opportunity to, well, first off, thank God I got you today, not the uncultured Mr. Bread on Valdez over there.
You mean Bronze 5?
Welcome. Yeah. As we're back now. This is actually the preview show to the LCK Pog State episode number 5.
Yeah, which we are going to be filming pretty soon. Actually,
we are
excited to get into it. Able to talk about what we've been up to in the brief hiatus that we had. Thankfully, it was relatively brief, only a couple of weeks off, and yeah, we'll be filming that one pretty soon. And we are, by the way, guys, just to go back to the game just for 1 second, we are going to chrono break back to the point before the SANDBOX players did DC. So it might take a little bit of extra time. Apparently, the issue at the SANDBOX house was one of their own making. They were trying to fix some audio stuff, and unfortunately, things went a little bit haywire. So it does mean that we just plug stuff back in, and we should be back in action, and things should be okay. But I think because of the chrono break, we are going to take a little bit of extra time. So we're going to be able to continue talking about our Pog State episode that is going to be coming up. So yeah, we're going to be filming that most likely on Sunday or Monday. What suits you better, LS? Do you want to do it before broadcast on Sunday, or do you want to do it on Monday morning?
I probably want to do it on Monday morning.
Yeah, I reckon.
Most likely.
You get in all of the games, and hopefully have it out before our next week starts. And then, it's going to be a little bit more up to date. I like that idea as well. It is going to be a remote podcast as well for the first time. So we're not going to be meeting anywhere. No bathroom this time around. So if you guys have been following the Pog State, once again, we're not going to be filming it in the bathroom. That may happen at some point, just not this point. We're going to get a replay of something. Lonely jumping on over, trying to grab this kill on Tarzan. We know how this one happened, though. Didn't necessarily work out super well for SANDBOX. But still able to get one of the kills is good news. But one for two. My math says that's not so good.
No, it's definitely not good at all. UCal keeps saying, at least no flash, at least no flash. I'm going.
나 가는데 나 뒤에 있어.
I'm below you, I'm below you.
얘기하면 상대방한테 갈 수 있어. 여기 앨리스.
나 혼자 쫓아가 볼게.
오케이, 난
You
집
guys
갈게.
just burned everyone down. It was pretty scary.
Definitely a bit strange. As this was, speaking about things that are strange, this was actually one of them as well.
I mean, why would it ever be a good idea for Lonely to go and try and contest that?
So I can understand trying to get the true damage and steal away the Herald, but it's still just such a coin flip. In the moment, obviously, it is really exciting. So at the time of the current pause, I don't know if this is prior to the chrono break, it's a little bit under a 2,000 gold lead for Griffin.
Yeah. And there are 4 kills in the lead. No turrets have gone down yet. But SANDBOX are, I believe, ahead bottom side with the amount of plates that they've been able to pick up for the Callista. So with Irove roaming around, it certainly was successful, but what it's done is put Kai'Sa a little bit further behind. So there is still a chance that SANDBOX can make it to a mid game where their Callista is at a acceptable level of power, right? Being able to get maybe the Blade of the Ruin King and a Zeal or something like that for a fight around second Drake or something, or third Drake perhaps.
Absolutely.
It's probably where they're aiming for in this game.
Let's see what they can manage to do after the pause.
Look at us. We're a little bit
fixed.
squished. Little bit squished. What do you think?
Oh, we are actually, and that's probably why your face is like that. You feel like the walls are caving in on you.
Yeah, I'm like Luke Skywalker in the trash compactor right now. I'm just not having a great time. I'm yelling at 3PO a lot, telling him to let me out. It's all right.
Definitely.
R2D2's coming. He's going to change my picture for me. It'll be a-okay.
Everything's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are the stats. Griffin's in the lead. We're sweating a little bit because this might be the first loss of LS's drafting prediction.
You
know?
need to not say stuff like that.
I'm just saying, who's in the lead?
That's not the way that you need to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. By the way, have you noticed that our names, the way they're written, the font is basically the same as the Atlas video game company, the one that makes Persona and stuff? It basically looks the same. It's like I'm sponsored. Isn't it cool?
Okay.
That's my little bit of information there that I've got for you. Now that there's basically nothing else to talk about.
Atlas, did you get Animal Crossing?
I did. I haven't been playing it very much. My girlfriend's been basically hijacking my Switch for the majority of the time. I do have coconuts, though. I got coconut trees outside my little tent. Feeling good. I don't even have a house yet, man. That's how much I haven't been able to play it.
Well, that is a bit sad. Hopefully, I found out about Tom Nook yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
And he is now my spirit animal and my idol. Apparently, everyone is in debt to him. So
yeah, that does sound like something
he probably does
with
collect
you.
Twitch Primes.
Oh my god. Yep. Can you buy Twitch Primes from him, do you reckon? From his little shop?
I mean, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I think he probably does Prime checks on the hour every hour.
I would assume so. He'd be the real streamer.
Well, see how long it does take, by the way, for the Chrono Break and everything to end up going through here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the new Pokemon movie?
No, I haven't. Where is it released? Can I just download it and watch it or something?
I think it's on North American Netflix. I don't believe that it's in
you
Korean
serious?
Netflix.
Hang on, let me double check. Thankfully, I'm at home, so I can just browse the internet right now while we're in the middle of a broadcast, much like I used to back in the day when it was bedroom broadcasting. But I do get to just look to see whether the next Pokemon movie is available. Sorry, I need to make sure that I can. It's a weird. Oh no! Why does Netflix do that? It auto plays so many different things, and I don't want to listen to them right now. I want to be able to listen to you. But never mind. I just need to go to the search. So let's just put in Pokemon and see what we can find. All right, what's it called?
I think it's just the Pokemon first movie remastered.
Oh, it is. No, it's out.
It's out in Korea.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know what I'm watching after LEC.
Heck yeah.
Live viewing tonight.
I mean, you've got multiple monitors, don't you? You do both at the same time.
You know what? That sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm. And you could probably do it on stream as well. Just tell people where like both the LEC and Pokemon is up to. And then everyone can experience the double hitter. That's pretty good. You have to admit. There's actually a fair bit of Pokemon available to watch on Netflix. It's kind of cool. You got Sun and Moon, X and Y. And the X, Y, and Z. Or Z, depending on where you're from. Yeah, lots of different options. It's actually kind of sweet.
I actually just started. So I collect high-end Magic the Gathering cards.
Yes, I did know that.
So I do have a couple of Black Lotuses that are high graded, but I just started actually getting into getting Pokemon cards that were high graded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the art. So I'm getting them. So they're a lot more affordable than Magic the Gathering, and I feel like I don't spend my money on anything, so I just do it for... I think they look so nice, so it's like artwork.
Yeah, I actually love Pokemon cards, man. I've got so many, and I've kept all of them. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I've got this Pokemon card collection from when I'm a kid. I'm going to sell it now to try and get some money, which doesn't get you very much money, by the way. Pokemon cards, unless they're like the really special ones, it's not like your collection that you used to have as a kid is now going to be worth money. It's just not, unless they're like at ridiculously good condition. We are back into the game, as you can see, but it's just a Cloud Drake being taken. Next dragon's going to be a mountain. No one really minds about that, as Hoya's going to be stealing away the red buff. But yeah, so like they don't keep their value as well as I think Magic the Gathering cards do necessarily, but I think there's still like a niche for them, right?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, there's actually been some really good sales over even some of the newer released Pokemon cards. I think a BGS 10 Hidden Fates Charizard or something sold for a couple grand.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
the last couple of months. And interestingly enough, I think a lot of people that they hear this and they think, wow, it's just cardboard or something. And it's actually it's been really holding amidst the stock market crash and Bitcoin falling and stuff. There's still been some really good holds and sales for, I guess, graded collectible cards. Not even just like Magic and Pokemon, but also trading cards from physical sports.
Yep.
So, really nice.
I like it. So you reckon my Charizard that I have back at home is going to be worth some money? What do you reckon?
I have no idea what edition it is.
It's not first edition, but it's the original Charizard.
Perfect.
I think I've got 2 of them.
You know, actually, Atrox looks like Charizard. A little when he ults. A little bit, yeah. He looks like the black Charizard. I don't know what version that is, but...
Oh, do you mean the Team Rocket Charizard?
Is that what it is? I'm not really so sure.
I mean, Charizard, when he's shiny, is black. So that might be the one you're talking about. But there is certainly a few different ones. His punch is going to come up, trying to defend his turret. But the turret plates are going to go over to Hoya and Tarzan. And not a lot of saving to be done. But Lonely does still have a CS advantage up here topside, despite dying a couple of times. And so that is certainly good news for SANDBOX. As I guess we should talk about the game again. I don't know. Do we want to keep talking about
the game?
Pokemon
Is in a little bit of a weird lull state, though, where the dragon went down, not much really happening.
Yeah.
We're just sort of actually playing ping pong. There's not even actively pursued trades going on right now. And with no neutral objective up, the game is in a lull state. Now, I will point out that the Mountain Dragon is huge for both parties. Obviously, getting those resistances against the Azir, Elise, Atrox, and the Callista, which they want to take long, extended, sustained fights. It's really valuable. Ends up equating to a lot of effective HP. But likewise, Griffin, they only have the Oblivion Orb on the Rumble, so no Sork Pen boots there. And obviously, Rumble and Kaisa, as well as Tank Jarvan, really get hit by stacked resistances and any sort of amplification. And SANDBOX has the potential to get 4 Mountain Drakes.
Yeah, that's really scary, actually. If SANDBOX can regain control of this game and then start stacking those mountains, that is terrifying. And if you think about it as well, I mean, resistances, if you're a champion that has either healing or shields, resistances become so much more powerful. And Aatrox is a great example of that, being able to heal himself with his World Ender available. Punch has a bit of healing in his kit as well. Dove has a shield. Root will have a Bloodthirster, and that also means a shield and has healing. And Gorilla can heal himself and his teammates at the same time. I feel like Mountain Drake is very, very good for this SANDBOX roster as far as effective health is concerned. So especially if they manage to get the Mountain Soul, that is just ridiculous. And with Griffin having a more early game focused composition with the Lucian, with the Rumble Jarvan type combination, and only Viper really being there for all of their late game damage potential, if SANDBOX are able to stabilize earlier, then it certainly will be a good news story. And so far, SANDBOX have kept that lead at 1.9k for a very long time.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. I mean, Callista, I think, is going to get first turret of the game down here, actually. And so this is going to be a really strong Callista coming into this fight. Azir has Nashers. These are major item completions. And so even though Griffin has a gold advantage right now, the on-battlefield stats is going to be pretty even for this Mountain Dragon. And if Hoya doesn't actually recall in time, Atrox could be the one that gets to be the first to go over to the dragon, but doesn't have the phage complete. Does just have the longsword and the ruby crystal. This is not a dragon that SANDBOX wants to just give over for free.
Oh, definitely not. They need to start fighting for it right now, because if Griffin can threaten Mountain Soul, that is just gigantic. So SANDBOX are almost priced in to try and defend this. I believe teleport available from Lonely. Yes, it is. So he can get into this fight as Griffin are just lying in wait. And they're all grouped up as 5 already. Teleport still being held onto, as Gorilla can face check. He has Fate's Call available. The SANDBOX now are going to have the reinforcements called in. And the River Ram is upon us. Hoya throws down his culling. Gorilla taking a lot of damage there, as you can see, but can heal himself. The SANDBOX will now
really
just shove out the mid lane.
Lonely going for the frontal teleport is a little bit surprising, given the equalizer on Rumble is going to have a lot more value.
There's a Cataclysm and the equalizer. Dove doing a fair bit of damage, but already the Spider is just evaporated from this fight. Root takes down another kill, but the Azir has fallen, and now Griffin getting burnt down. Oh no, Griffin only lose 1 and should be able to now take the dragon.
It ends up being a 1-for-2 Dove. Not able to do anything there, and Griffin just going further and further ahead at this point in the game.
Tarzan and Yukal together just looked so good in that fight. That Cataclysm equalizer was at exactly the same time.
Well, now with the Mountain Dragon, they are getting some amp to obviously their stats, and that is very effective at this stage of the game. They're threatening Mountain Soul so early on here inside of this game. And Atlas, I think I'm about to lose my prediction streak.
Oh no.
I'm getting anxious.
Hey, at least we got through the first series. That is definitely good. Sort of halfway through. Not too bad. And of course, we're only 17 minutes and 50 seconds into the first game of this series, so anything can happen. As Punch had to repel very early here, and yeah, this is just one of those fights that is really difficult to win if you get corralled like they did. As Iroh in through the back, just special delivery with his superplex, and even though that was a decent ultimate out of Dove, it wasn't enough to save his life.
Well, it's going to be very difficult from this point forward, because the next, they only have 4 minutes until the end of this game is probably just going to be decided over the Mountain Soul. Atrox is going to try his best to get to the Black Cleaver, and Kai'Sa should be able to get to 2 items, Callista as well. And it's not like it's impossible for SANDBOX to win the next team fight. They definitely still can. It's still only a 2,000 gold deficit.
Yeah.
All things considered. So that was really poor positioning. And remember, they started that fight without Punch. That was actually a 5 versus 4, essentially. Taric ultimate didn't even get its value. And it was a very dream scenario for Griffin, which you got to give them credit for. And that's why I was mentioning that Lonely's frontal teleport was so bizarre leading up to that team fight, because I would have thought that he wanted to go for some sort of a flank in order to try to fight for better positioning for himself as well as his team.
Well, right now, Shirley has been plonked down in this mid lane, but Minue's going to get there. Thankfully, she moves a little bit further forward and will be able to get that charge off. It is immediately dispatched. Dove trying to get some poke damage here with the Sand Soldiers down. Remember, this is Mountain Rift, so a few extra boulders in the way, allowing Dove to have a little bit more safety, as our Root should be able to take down this red buff pretty comfortably. Has himself double daggers, so we were talking about, you know, Zeal, Blade of the Ruin King sort of being that ideal scenario for the third Drake fight, but wasn't quite able to get there, which is unfortunate. I thought when he was backing that was going to be a thing that he was able to do, but not able to. And now Griffin going to continue putting on pressure. Top side of the map, Yukal just up there trying to shove this wave forward. Dove going to catch it. And Root and Gorilla are going to do their best to try and hold on to this. Mid out of turret, not able to do so, as there's the Cataclysm landing onto Punch. He's surviving for a long time, held on to the repel for a while as well, but is going to be able to get out onto Yukal, but the Flame Spitter isn't stopped by the Cocoon. And that is a very dead Spider. Lonely over the wall, but no teleport, no opportunity to try and answer, as Griffin are thinking about a Baron at 20 minutes and a half.
Well, Griffin have started up. There's no Elise to try to go for a steal, so it would require SANDBOX to have some sort of a miracle team fight, but instead, actually, SANDBOX is just going to dissuade them all from attempting it. 2,500 gold lead right now. Actually, a little bit less than that is.
Yeah, the gold lead hasn't
Are
changed.
shoving in.
It just straight up hasn't changed. It's like 2.3 or something like that. 600 gold is the swing since that
And they
break
might
was
actually
taken.
get this turret, which that'll bring it down to about 1.7, 1.8. We're indefinitely locked here. And again, take a look at Punch. You wonder why he is where he is. Atrox down in bot lane, super happy. They had total knowledge of where Griffin was and what they were doing. Yet the Azir up in top. Punch is having a bit of a rough game here.
Yeah, certainly is a roughie. He is able to at least get some farm in, and he's ahead of Tarzan for the moment. But you can see that Ruby Crystal doing some weird stuff, has himself a Seeker's Arm Guard just to try and get the extra stats. He's not going to be building towards Zhonya's just yet. He wants that Oblivion Orb as soon as possible. But there is already Magic Resist being picked up. We've got 3 Merc Treads there. We've got nothing for Hoya, so he's still a target, as is Viper. But the front line is not going to be softened by this Elise too much, and you saw already that he wasn't able to offer damage to Tarzan almost whatsoever. As Irove has Predator, great roll for the Omni Stone as far as this current position, and he's slinking around trying to get behind SANDBOX for this fight.
And it looks like they want to just go for a giant sandwich. What is
all right.
Lonely doing?
Yeah, they're going to dive on top of Lonely. Oh no, fail flashes as well. That is panic right there on the rookie top laner for SANDBOX. Not what you want to see.
And what they're trying to do right now is make Griffin believe that they're starting up the Baron so that they can pull them off of the Mountain Drake, but it doesn't even matter. Hoya is going to be the one that just solos the mountain, and Alice,
yeah,
I don't know how SANDBOX is supposed to win at this point. That is 12% amp to all of their resistances. It's the Mountain Soul HP as well. It's just so much to chew through. Makes it really, really hard to envision a world where something could be good. And just take a look at Lonely again. They have absolute knowledge. There's never in a million years a chance that they would bite at the right side river brush leading into mid lane. So I just have no clue what he's doing.
Well, Dove is dying up towards the top side.
Yeah.
Does manage to shift some sands, get himself out, heal, utilize, does give Punch some extra movement speed as well, as there's the flash forward from Tarzan. Great Cocoon is going to land. Dove survives for a lot longer than we'd expect, but he goes golden just to watch his demise, and is going to be taken out there by Yukal. Hoya lying in wait, looking for Root and Gorilla. The Fate's Call is going to be available as the ult comes in, but it doesn't arm in time. Root still gets it, wants to try and do some damage here as Lonely teleports in, but it's probably not what he really wanted to do. Great knock up at Haymaker, keeps Irove alive, and a double kill comes in for Hoya as now they follow these minions towards the inner turret, and Griffin decide, nah, we don't want that. We want to go to the Baron.
Well, the Spirit of Summit does live on here. As Lonely is... Atlas, I don't have very nice things to say, so I'm going to try to say some antonyms.
All right, got it.
His gameplay has been superb. Actually fantastic. One of the best that we've seen in the LCK. And I don't know what to say about it. From the Rift Herald, attempted steal.
Do you want me to... I can sum it up for you. Do you want me to sum it up for you?
Yes,
We're hoping,
for me.
We're hoping that Lonely isn't actually that lonely, and that in fact he does have another top laner standing behind him on call to try and save SANDBOX. That's what we're hoping. Because so far, I mean, Lonely I think maybe should be lonely in game 2. Off the rip. Because it's just not been his day, to be honest. And it's been, like, we were talking about Lava's experience as we have a look at the replay. We were talking about Lava in the last series, how he just wasn't allowed to play League of Legends, and it wasn't necessarily his choice. It was the opposition drafting well and then playing around a pick that was able to be exploited. This was Lonely face checking.
Well, there's no flash, there's no flash. Back off, back off. Yeah. and then they say to immediately go over to Baron. So this is all that she wrote. This is a very one-sided game here
Yeah.
for Griffin.
And now they've got all of those shields. This inner turret is in trouble as Griffin are poising around this area, just waiting to strike. Void Seeker gonna land. Actually does a fair bit of damage there to Lonely, as you can see. Viper starting to build towards some of those key items for this AP Kai'Sa to really take off. Isn't too far ahead of the Kalista, who's got a decent scoreline right now, but you can see Root is a one-man army on SANDBOX, and that's not in the good way. You know, he's just the only guy that's really there. This punch, you see, he gets chunked out by that Void Seeker as well, and the poke from the Kai'Sa is something that we wouldn't be expecting to talk about, but is actually relevant, given how far ahead Griffin are.
Does look like this could be potentially the end game push. I mean, there is only a minute left on Baron, but then Elder's coming up. Now, if we want to talk about a way that SANDBOX could, in theory, get back into the game somehow, it's on the back of a Miracle Elder Dragon steal into some sort of an ace going their way. Outside of that, I find it, okay, well.
Yeah, well, there's going to be the Superflex into the backline, but it's a great ultimate out of Dove. Irove in trouble. Haymaker gets the shield, keeps him alive for quite a long time, and the Mountain Drake is really carrying Griffin throughout this exchange. Flame Spitter into the Zhonya's means that the Pigeon Man is going to be dead, and Griffin are looking to try and continue this one. Viper, Captain Jack cleanse as well as being able to take out the support player. It was almost more, but SANDBOX aren't going to be able to defend their base when they're stuck in their fountain.
Well, does seem like Griffin, they might just play it super safe. I mean, although, no, there is 20 seconds on the Azir as well. Taric, they're going for the end of the game.
Yeah, great double knock up there from Tarzan as well, straight into the back line underneath these Nexus turrets, and he doesn't mind too much. Punch is trying to do something, but he's unable to do so, as Kai'Sa's going to go down to the Kalista. That is going to be the ace in the end. The last remaining Nexus turret is going to remain standing, as we've got some disconnects coming through from the Griffin side instead. I don't know whether that means we get another pause. It is literally 404 Lucian not found. But I think he's still moving, so he has come back, so we're fine.
All right, well, he's back in the game right now, as we take another look at this replay. Just take a look. I mean, Lonely, he's having to shoot through the Mountain Dragons, and the Invis resistance as well. They do play a part. It is equating to a lot of effective HP. The Tar's ultimate was really good. The problem is that they're down so much gold right now, and they're having to chew through so much. They just don't have the firepower. And then you factor in also the Baron enhanced stats on the side of Griffin, and everything is just going their way this game. And it started at the very beginning with that dive, picking up the next few dragons, and then Lonely having a lot of very questionable decisions. It actually cost them at many key points. At the Herald, at the Scuttle Crab, where Punch ended up dying. If you recall the Repel, he just went a little bit too far forward. Really just trying to force things way too much. And so Elder is up in 5 seconds. This is the only chance SANDBOX has to try to come back, and it's somehow winning a team fight here and getting Elder Dragon, or getting Elder and using it to win a fight.
Yeah, and also then winning the subsequent fights after that as well. I mean, there's a lot more work than just one team fight for SANDBOX to win here. They're not going to be able to push far enough in order to end off one push. And Griffin, honestly, just getting through Griffin in general is going to be extremely hard, as this Nexus turret is in a lot of trouble. We do have teleport back available very soon for Lonely. But Griffin probably should just start off this Elder Drake, and Viper was certainly listening to me. He's going to do that. He's got an Oblivion Orb, because guys, that's what you got to do. Sangyun is still here in spirit as Tarzan flags, drags, gets himself in. Hoya with the culling, just zoning out. SANDBOX, a very early Cosmic Radiance is going to go completely to the wayside, as there's the Emperor's Divide, but used defensively is not what you want. And the teleport comes through, but Lonely's out of position. Worldender is not ending the world on the right side of the rift, unfortunately for SANDBOX. And he's going to be taken down by Viper, who just shoots into the back line. They've got 2 AD carries, and they're both getting to work here on the SANDBOX team composition. And Dove, he shifts some sands, he gets over towards a red buff, but that is all that she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Griffin will be taking game number 1 in this series against SANDBOX. And this has always been SANDBOX's Achilles heel. In round 1, they were able to buck the trend, but now not so much as the Nexus goes down.
That is going to be a very strong, decisive game number 1 victory for Griffin, and that is some really good news for them because they need this at that point, at this point inside of the split. Obviously, the bottom lane play, there's a lot of different worlds where it comes out differently, and so definitely some high variance there. The draft does still make me nervous for game number 2 and potentially 3. Lonely, obviously, having a very off game played a pretty big factor in it as well, but Tarzan was also really on point this game.
Yeah, I think that Lonely was a problem, but I think jungle difference did play a lot of a part in this game. It felt like Tarzan was able to snowball after his initial dive extraordinarily well and was able to move it into whichever part of the map that he wanted and then just commanded that the rest of his teammates came round and were with him on all of the plays that he was making. Felt to me like Tarzan wasn't able to step a foot wrong, and I'm just so happy to see Tarzan once again playing at that level because we knew that he was capable of it, but in 2020, he just hasn't been there. It's been George all the time, and finally, the king is back.
Yeah, and he ended up showing up really big in this game number 1, and it's a very, I mean, and even more reason that it's so important is because both of these teams are on the East bracket right now, and trying to just get legs up over each other as well as the head-to-head is super crucial for both of them when it comes to that point. So relegation is something that people are trying to stay outside of, but if Griffin does still want to make a run for the playoffs, they're going to turn things around, and so they're going to have to look for the clean 2-0 here. This was the initial starting dive. Lots of variance. Iroh barely living on that set, and then take a look at Root. I believe if he kited up, it would have been a little bit different. Right here, Punch ends up landing, and he flashes outside of the range of set, but I think if he stayed and got hit by the Haymaker, I believe Iroh would take 2 turret shots and then die.
Yeah, likely.
So, a little bit surprising there, but I guess Elise doesn't want to go for a trade right there. She tried it to Greed, and this was another one of the very questionable decisions that SANDBOX ended up making. They just really greed it in a lot of situations in fight. This was the teleport in front of Griffin's posturing for the dragon that ended up going completely awry. Really clean shutdown all around by Griffin. Punch yet again out of position. Tarzan able to collapse onto him.
And also the Cataclysm and the Equalizer, we mentioned it during the moment in the cast, but I want to go back to it. I mean, UCal laid down the Equalizer as the Flash Cataclysm was coming in. Like, it was some real clean team fighting from Griffin, and we haven't seen this from this team. And they were known for this, right? We haven't seen it for so damn long. And it's really good to see that it is back once again. Iroh also really making a name for himself on this set, finding the engagements. I personally gave the MVP to Tarzan. I felt like he really dictated the pace of this game very well, but I think Iroh is in that conversation, and I wouldn't be upset if he picked it up as well. Just good play all around from the team of Griffin, rather than any one real big performer on this squad, which is great to see, because that's exactly how Griffin played before. When they were successful, when they were destroying the regular season time and time again, it was because they were all on the same page. And this is looking like that style of Griffin here.
Yeah. We'll see if they can do this again in game number 2. SANDBOX, we'll see if they make any substitutions.
I missed Summit
this
not
time
gonna lie
around. We haven't seen Summit in a while.
Yeah. It's been lonely for the last 3 matches, I believe, for SANDBOX, including this one. So we'll see whether Summit does make his way back in here. Because, yeah, I think they need him. They're looking for a savior. And
I don't think
good
this
news. Aatrox is the one.
For the viewers.
What's that?
I do believe a TFT mobile ad is going to be playing
Well, you
in between game 1 and 2 break.
What is... He says that one thing over and over again, but I don't quite remember what it was. Can you
you will.
Can you tell us? Can you give us a preview?
I cannot. You're going to have to stay tuned.
All right. This is one thing. I think chat was talking about it. I don't know.
Everyone's going to be talking about it soon.
Oh, I just can't wait. I cannot wait.
I know you can.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we get it.
I'm going to need to go to the... Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm so excited.
Me too. Me too. Well, you don't have to wait for very much longer because it is now break time. And afterwards, we'll see whether Griffin can take away the 2-0 over SANDBOX and change their stars moving into round 2 ever further.